today's video, I'm going to be discussing the winners and losers from organized team activities for the New Orleans Saints in Session 2. Now, obviously, the black and gold have a lot of players and a lot of interesting position battles, but whose stock is up, whose stock is down, who's playing well, and, who could pick up the slack. But before we get into that, I got to show you this update. The Falcons Today channel's kicking our ass here at Saints Now by Chat Sports in our sub battle. And with just a couple days left in May, we need a strong push. So help me out and let's bury our baby brothers in the NFC South. Not just here in the walls in Chat Sports, but on the field as well. Because if we win the sub battle, I promise you, we'll win when it matters on the field. So I want to just kind of discuss Taliese Fuaga really quick. I didn't list him as a winner or a loser. Just general consensus, he's a big-time winner. He looks the part. He is exactly what the Saints wanted in terms of what they were getting with the 14th overall selection. And he actually looks really, really comfortable on the left side. If you remember, he is a right tackle, and he played that for the Oregon State Beavers. But they recently have tried him out at left tackle and switched Penning over to the right side. And he looks comfortable. He looks like he can fit that position well, and he's moving really well on top of that. And Ross Jackson, John Hendricks, Nick Underhill, all of those great Saints journalists and the guys who are boots on the ground, they've been giving him a lot of hype, and they've all been saying that he's been living up to the hype. So for more updates around OTAs in real time, one, give me a follow because I'll repost and kind of share thoughts quickly. And two, go check out Ross Jackson, John Hendricks, Triplet, Underhill, Catherine Terrell, all those great media people as well. Saints media has some of the best in the game. Just going to call it out there. Shout out to your boy for also being a part of that. Fun fact. Anyway, just kidding. Having some fun here. Winner number one, Millard Bradford on top of Taliese Fuaga. Obviously, the safety out of TCU. He was a UDFA for New Orleans in this 2024 UDFA class. He's actually been balling out at organized team activities. A reminder, they're voluntary, so if people aren't there, don't worry about it. But he did have 2 interceptions on Spencer Rattler during the 7-on-7 portion for the New Orleans Saints. And on top of that, he's been getting work on special teams with the Gunners and, getting on kick return, getting on punt return, punt block, all that kind of stuff, or punt protection and all that. That's all stuff that he's been getting work on. And on top of that, he's a versatile player. He could easily find himself with a role on this roster because he has so many snaps logged at the slot position. He's able to play deep. He's able to play in the middle and on the inside. So I think that when you have a defensive back group like this, you can easily find a role and a way to contribute. And if you can contribute not just on the field and your respective positions, but in special teams as well, that is a thing that the New Orleans Saints highly value. And I do think that Millard Bradford could find himself making the roster, and on top of that, having a big-time impact at his respective position. I also think in case Alontae Taylor kind of struggles on the inside, you can maybe plug and play Bradford as well. So a loser we have in today's video is actually going to be linebacker Pete Werner, and it's not necessarily as much about what he hasn't been doing, and to be honest, there wasn't really great things from him at OTAs. I'm not going to sit here and say this is a Pete Werner sucks and he needs to be cut and blah, blah. No, that is not what I'm saying at all. But he did get picked on a lot in coverage by Derek Carr, who, by the way, was perfect in the second session of OTAs that media was able to be at. And Pete Werner got picked on. He was targeted 4 out of the first 5 passes by Derek Carr. And we all know that Werner does struggle in protection. But I think that you could have that void and that, lack of, or not the lack of, but you could have that element of the game where Pete Werner struggles in pass protection be covered by Willie Gay. And I do think that Pete Werner will still have a role here, and I think that he is a good player, but he's got a lot to prove, to be quite honest. And, he's got to stay healthy, has to have better production, and I think that with a player or playing alongside a guy like Willie Gay and Demario Davis will be really helpful for him. I also know Willie Gay has been playing really, really well at OTAs, and to be honest, the energy and the athleticism has just been so commendable and has been highly praised by so many people around the Saints organization. So I think that Pete Werner is a loser, partially because of the lack of good play from him in pass protection, but also because Willie Gay has been so damn good. Now, you were looking at the linebacker group there for a second, so I want you to grade it for me in the comments section. Just scale it 1 to 100. I asked Twitter what they thought, and the reviews were pretty mixed. So I want to hear what you guys think. I'm going to go 84. 84 feels good. I like the addition of Willie Gay. I think Demario Davis is one of the best linebackers in the league. So grade it down below. Scale it for me 1 to 100. Now another winner. It's actually going to be two winners for this one. It's the rookie specialist. Special teams, special plays, special players. Let's go. Come on now. Charlie Smith at OTAs is really doing well. He went 5 for 5 in kicks that were ranging from extra points to 44 yards, and he was nailing kicks on the left, on the right, and then the center hash marks. He was all over the, or I guess on the left hash mark, right hash mark, and in the center. And on top of that, he has kicks with a lot of velocity and a lot of accuracy. I was tuning into Second and Saints, which is a podcast that John Hendricks and Ross Jackson recently started, and they were discussing OTAs yesterday, and they said that, I mean, he was literally right down the middle on almost every single kick. They even think that they lost the football over some shrubs because he kicked the ball so damn far. Like, Charlie Smith is a player who has a very realistic chance to make the roster, and I think that Blake Grupe has to perform well if he wants to lock his spot in on the Saints roster. So Charlie Smith, kudos to you. I'm excited to see what he can continue to do. But Matthew Hayball, the punter out of Vanderbilt that the New Orleans Saints brought in the UDFA class, also had a really good showing. He had multiple punts with over 5 seconds of hang time. He had a ton of punts that were over 4.5, 4.7 seconds, which is really, really good considering Lou Hedley doesn't have a ton of hang time on his punts. However, where Hedley's strength is he can down it a lot inside the red zone and inside the 10 and in the 5-yard line. So that's kind of, and the net return yards, like that is where Hedley does show out. But on top of that, Hayball's punts, they have balls that are giggity, very hard to catch because of the fact that they're going end over end or they're watermelon wobbling kind of side to side. The movement makes it tough for a return man to catch the ball, bring it in, and make the return because they either have to adjust right before they start moving or what. Like, there's so many factors as to why that's a good thing for the Saints. So I think that that's really, really good news. And like I said, Blake Grupe, he needs to show up and he needs to step up in order to make the roster. But I think Lou Hedley is also a player who's at risk of losing his roster spot. So who do you think is most likely to lose their place on the Saints roster? Do you think Blake Grupe is the most likely to lose his positional battle, or is Lou Hedley more likely to lose his positional battle? Type their initials in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Again, this is not a hate piece on those guys. It's just, trying to have a conversation. But if you want to get some jerseys for the New Orleans Saints like I'm rocking right now, go to chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. We got Color Rush. We got the home. We got the away. Men's, women, children. You want old-time players that are legends. You want current players that are on the up and up. You want some young rookies that haven't quite made a name for themselves. You can go get started at chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. The link is in the comment section description of this video. It's a Nike jersey. It comes from Fanatics, so you know it's going to be legit, real high-quality stuff. This is a jersey I got with our link, so it's a Tyrann Mathieu one. If you want to get a jersey just like me before the season gets going, use the link in the comment section description of this video. Now, I'm going to say a loser isn't a player, and it's honestly a big-time winner is Klint Kubiak, but the loser is opposing defensive coordinators because Klint Kubiak's been making a lot of changes to this offense, and to be honest, this is the first time we've seen major changes to the Saints offense since Pete Carmichael took over. So 7-10 years, something like that. We are seeing a lot of more intermediate passing for Klint Kubiak's offense, which is really nice to see. If you remember, that's kind of the thing that worked really well when Michael Thomas was so effective, was passes over the middle, intermediate throws, and picking apart the defense on the interior. And on top of that, there's a big-time emphasis on pre-snap motion and using or going in motion, pre-snap movement, all that kind of stuff. That's just something that we have to use. And I go back to the Second and Saints podcast I listened to yesterday. Shout out to Ross and John. They were discussing the fact that they were like, we might have seen more motion used in this one individual practice than we saw all last year in the regular season. Like, that is really good stuff. It causes confusion for the opposing defenses. It makes game planning a little bit harder, and it opens up more opportunities for players. And on top of that, all positions are getting involved. It's not just the quarterback show. It's not the running back show. It's not the receiver show. It's not the Taysom Hill show. It's not the tie. Everyone is getting involved. And a big-time part of Klint Kubiak's offense is running the football, and he said that he wants this team to be grounded. So it's really nice to see that everyone is going to be a contributing factor, and everyone's going to have a role for the New Orleans Saints offense, especially those playmakers like Kamara, Taysom Hill, Chris Olave, Shaheed, all those guys. So I absolutely love that, and I think that even a guy like Jamal Williams will benefit from these changes to the offense. And another winner, I feel like we name him a winner in every video, but Dallin Holker cannot seem to drop the ball. Literally, he cannot seem to not play well. I mean, he is such a winner, and honestly, he might be one of the biggest offseason winners across the NFL, to be quite frank. He continues to get work with the ones and with the starting offense for New Orleans. And that's not meaning he's getting every single snap with the ones. He's just getting a lot of run with the first team, which I think is really, really telling in terms of what the Saints think of him and also in terms of what his skill set can be. And the usage of his long arms, I mean, Ross Jackson, I feel so bad. I keep going back and but he had a really funny analogy. It's like his arms are so long, I don't think he needs to bend over to scratch his knee. Like, I just scratched my knee. Imagine Dallin Holker just doing that with his arm, and he's good. I mean, he has long arms. He has really, really aggressive at the point of catch. And on top of that, he's been utilized in 2 tight end sets where we've seen Juwan Johnson and Holker be those 2 tight ends. Taysom Hill could be a really good option with that as well, and he's been put in motion. And I do think for Taysom Hill, his role is more so of a football player. It is I've said it before and I'll say it again, the flex position in fantasy football, that is what Taysom Hill is. He is a football player. He's not a tight end. He's not a fullback. He's not a running back. He's not a quarterback. He is a football player. And Foster Moreau, I think, is more of a blocking option for New Orleans, so I don't know if he's going to have a massive role in terms of a pass catcher. So I think Dallin Holker could find himself with a big role, especially with how much Kubiak utilizes tight ends in his offense. An honorable mention winner is going to be Nick Saldiveri, the offensive guard, who, if you remember, the Saints actually traded up last year to get with the very first pick in day 3 in round 4 of the 2023 NFL draft. He had a really nice pass block on Carl Granderson, who was the leading sack artist for the New Orleans Saints and the best player in terms of sack production for the black and gold. And he actually gained about 10, 12, 15-ish pounds over the offseason. He's bulked up to about 330. So I absolutely love to see Saldiveri taking on the role of possibly being the starting left guard. And I think that that's a really good tell for Nick Saldiveri. I think that he is a guy who could be really, really impactful if he can develop and turn into a great football player. Now, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe today, because if you are still hanging out and rolling with us, then we're probably doing something right. So subscribe today and help me feed my dog and get him some new treats. It's a really cute guy. His name is Dude. So if you want more pictures and you want more updates around the New Orleans Saints or my dog, Dude, hit that sub button and let's bury the Falcons in our sub battle. Y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.